Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Check 1, 2, check, check. Couple minutes late, but that's how it is. I don't understand. Why is it like that? That's how it is. Listen, I'm gonna change my camera for a second, but you're tuned in to Hip Hop Can Save America. I'm still here. I'm just changing my camera. Yes, we're doing it live. F it. We'll do it live. What up, everybody? It's Manny Faces. This is Hip Hop Can Save America, the world's most enlightening hip hop live stream. It's a big thing to say. You can call me on it at the end if you watch this and be like, nah, man, it's not the most enlightening hip hop live stream. What are you talking about? You don't know nothing. Then okay, then we'll see. But don't tell me it's not until you sit through the show. Listen, just waiting for a few people to trickle in. We got a great show tonight. I have a great guest. I have the author of this book, First Things First, Hip Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game. Nadirah Simmons is coming in to chat with us about women in hip hop. It's an interesting time that we scheduled this thing. It was not in any way connected to anything that might be happening with women in hip hop these days, but there's some things happening. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we won't. In the meantime, in between time, let me give you a little bit of a taste of how we open the show. Don't forget to tell your friends, share, like this. If you're watching on Facebook, swing over to YouTube. You're not watching on Facebook, it looks like, so you're good. If you're watching on the replay, swing over to YouTube. You can get hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. That's where we want people to be. So now that people are trickling, let's get it going. It starts a little something like this. Hit it. No, really. Hit it.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when there is for you.
My hip hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live.
So hip hop didn't invent anything, but hip hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces, and this episode is brought to you by
Peace and love. Once again, most dopest opening of any hip hop live stream there is. I don't know if that's true, but it feels right to me, so I'm going to say it. Hip Hop Can Save America. My name is Manny Faces. That is not my real name. My government name is actually Bobby Elbows. So, stupid joke. I had to say it to you. I had to give it to y'all. I'm here every Monday night. It's 9 p.m. Eastern time. We do this every Monday night now. We've been doing this for quite some time. This is an extension of a podcast that's been around for quite some time. If you're just here now, what you don't know, if your first time stumbling on this, the video series is an extension of the audio series. For many years, we did a podcast called Hip Hop Can Save America, where we mainly interview people who are using hip hop in innovative ways, in ways that can uplift humanity and improve society. So, we're talking about things like hip hop in education, or hip hop in mental health therapy, or as a tool to teach financial literacy, or all these different combinations and intersections. That's what we do. So when we talk about hip hop news that isn't about dumb-ish, or when we talk about like intelligent, high-level conversations about hip hop's role in society, that's the type of stuff that I talk about. And what I do is I try to do my best job, my very best job, in bringing the folks who look at hip hop in that kind of, in that kind of way, as a way to help uplift and improve society. So if you think hip hop can help uplift and improve society, then you're in the right place. If you don't think that hip hop can help improve society, then you're in the right place, because we're going to tell you otherwise. Tonight, I have a guest. Nadirah Simmons is going to join us at 9:30, the 9:30 hour. First Things First, Hip Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game. This book comes out tomorrow. Advanced copy. Look at me. But I got again, dope author, dope topic, interesting topic, timing-wise, because there's been some stuff fluttering about the hip-hoposphere that has to do with women in hip-hop. We'll probably get into it, but I don't like to talk about the gossipy stuff, the salaciousness, but we'll see what happens. Shouts also to, as you saw in the opening, the patrons, the supporters of the show, the ones who help me keep the lights on. Literally, look, this will be what happens. This will be what happens if y'all don't support me. So thanks to the ones who do support me over at patreon.com/Manny Faces. One day I'll have someone that can actually put it in the chat while I say it. www.patreon.com/ See, I got to do it all myself right now. The more people support, maybe we'll get a little co-producer one day and we'll be able to help, do all this stuff. But it's okay, fine. You don't have to do it. You don't have to support. I'll do this for free no matter what. But I also want to shout out, they're not listed in that opening salvo of, supporter names, but also Kath, Morgan, and newest supporters Patrick and Chris J. We're gonna update those names soon, and Baby Girl Faces on the audio feed will be saying your name. So that's one of the cool perks you get. Baby Girl Faces had a birthday. Shouts to my Aquarians in the house. And I didn't do a lot of preparation for this show tonight, as I normally try to do. I definitely prepared for the guest, but I try to corral a bunch of news and stuff, and I'll give you some ideas about some cool, interesting things that are happening in hip hop that you might not have heard of from your normal hip hop media outlets or from mainstream media. But it is my birthday Wednesday, so a great gift would be patreon.com/Manny Faces. Jump on board, help support these efforts to bring these stories to light. Shouts to Ada. What up, Miss Thursday in the building? I see you. One time for you. Let me know in the chats, in the comments section, how I sound, how I look, how I feel, how I taste. And we'll keep this going. I do want to show you a couple of things, as you know I like to do, that are happening in and around hip-hop that you don't hear about if you just listen to the entertainment side of things. This is for educators, but also for artists. So if you're an artist or an educator or a young college student that loves hip-hop, once again, the Hip-Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference is happening again. This is something that normally happens at Rutgers University. This year it's happening at Fordham University in New York. Just follow their Instagram. This is a conference that's put on by college students that looks at hip hop, again, research and activism. So sometimes you hear people say hip hop doesn't have that thing anymore, doesn't have that edge anymore, that counterculture, that, fight the power. Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And across the board, we have many examples of it. This is one great one. It's not only, activism focused, but also run by the youth, for the youth, about the youth. So the young folks at the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference are putting together their yearly conference. Now, what they'll do is they'll put out a call for papers and presentations that usually they want presenters that are also college students. So if you're a college student, if you're no college students who kind of have this kind of vibe, great for them to keep an eye out for the call for presenters. They're also looking for, I think I have it here. They're also looking for performers for the conference. Now, this is going to happen in March in New York. If you're not in New York, that's okay. I mean, obviously, you can still, apply to present and maybe come in for the conference. It's a great conference. I'm there every year. I may or may not be there this year. I'm hoping to, but it's a great time for you to express your. How is this not working? Express your support for young people and also get a good idea of where the next generation is going when it comes to looking at hip hop in these non-entertainment based, but humanity helping ways, right? So that's always dope. The Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference is coming up. So I told people about it last week, but just in case you're new, I wanted to make sure you caught that. Of course, also when we think of these academic conferences, we think that maybe only academics are supposed to be there. But what I love about the conferences that I work with, or like this one, the Can't Stop Hip Hop Conference, which is happening at Harvard University, the Harvard Graduate School of Education, it's not just academics presenting research and doing all the, hello, I'm from Harvard, we can do all the things. It's actually presenters and performers and practitioners of hip hop who can share their experience with the academic crowd. So I think that's super important that we have to understand exists. I don't think a lot of people know these things exist. So here's New York. Now we're up in Boston or Cambridge, Massachusetts, where if you're a performer, you could say, hey, listen, I do that positive type hip hop, or I do that hip hop that's, not like, but you don't have places to perform. You don't get radio play. You don't get, you don't get some attention sometimes. Well, link up with the conferences that are happening all around the country, not just New York and Cambridge, but all over the country that are academic focused or maybe in an academic institution. But then you hit them up and say, listen, I perform, I do that kind of music. Can I rock with y'all? And 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of synergy there that you could work. So we want to emphasize the fact that you could be, that kind of hip hop artist that a lot of people say they look for and can't find. You got to look for and find them, but also to help amplify their position, you might be able to link up with these conferences. So this is, again, calling performers and presenters of all ages. Apply to share how you're telling stories of healing, joy, and progress through hip hop. Now, again, these things have been going on for years. You might not have heard about them. I can't say why. I can't speak for other media organizations, why they may or may not have told you about these places. But my job is to tell you about them. Another thing in New York. Now, I am New York heavy, and I apologize for that, but a lot of my peoples comes from New York. I was in New York for many years, and I covered New York hip hop stuff. So I'm just calling attention to a couple of these things. This is Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf. This is the big homie, Tony Blackman, an amazing artist, teaching artist, mentor, performer, speaker, hip hop ambassador. She takes hip hop, goes throughout the world. She's a mindfulness expert. She does so many things. She is so loved amongst the hip hop community, and we love her, Tony Blackman. And she will be part of an event happening at Lincoln Center in New York City. Can you imagine hip hop? You never thought hip hop could take it this far. I'll read right from her post. It says, "Mark your calendars. This is Friday, April 5th, 2024, at 2:30. I'm putting this in the chat. I'm so excited to join music industry legend Shanti Das from down here in Atlanta for a fireside chat called Straighten Your Crown, delving into the transformative impact of sisterhood and community on mental health. Join us for a powerful discussion on how these connections elevate the quality of life." Shanti Das, I've talked about before, is an advocate. She was a manager and worked heavy in the music industry, and helped bring Outkast to the world. She's based in Atlanta, or she was based in. She's definitely an Atlanta head. And now has transitioned to doing a lot of mental health in the music industry, right? Attached to the music industry, that kind of work. So this is an amazing thing. I wish I was back in New York for this. This is in April. I put the link in the chat. These all little tidbits are something that I like to call hip-hop news that isn't about dumb shit. And the thing that you can do to get this information, this might be, and I'm going to guess, probably the only time you're hearing about any of these events, is to sign up for my newsletter, my free newsletter at mannyfaces.substack.com. If you sign up for this newsletter, you get informed of these things. You don't have to catch this show. It's just a newsletter. You know how they work. And it's super, super dope resource that I put together and give to you for free. Again, you could donate a couple dollars for it. But this is called the Words I Manifest. Get it? Words I Manifest.
Take heed to the words that I manifest. Words that I manifest. Words that I manifest.
And in that newsletter, I'll put together a lot of these tidbits, a lot of these events, a lot of these interesting news stories that incorporate hip hop sort of on a more, I don't know. I get mad. Y'all remember XXL magazine? They used to have this slogan called hip hop on a higher level. Like that was their tagline. And I'm so mad that they used it. And they were for a while, actually, to be honest. But because I want to use that, like that's how I'm trying to describe the stuff we do. It's not smart hip hop, because then you think of the music, you'd be like, oh, it's like brainiac rap. No. It's intelligent discussion, but then it makes it sound like the other discussions like non-intelligent. No, it's not that it's not intelligent, but it's like that higher level, that just a different way of thinking about hip hop. So that's what we do. That's what I cover. This newsletter is free, and you can do that. You can sign up for that for free, and I would appreciate it if you do so. Again, it's my birthday week. Shouts to my Aquariuses. My birthday is Wednesday, and I'll be celebrating greatly. So I wanted to share those things with you. 2 more. This is the, shouts, by the way, to people in the chat. I see you again, Miss Thursday. Chosen Hip Hop is in the mix. And it's great that you mentioned Martha Diaz and the Hip Hop Education Center, because they, and another shout out from Randy. What up, Randy? For Tony Blackman. The wisdom of the cipher. Exactly. Tony Blackman has taught us all about the wisdom of the cipher. By the way, she's long overdue for this show, and I know Tony Blackman, and we've hung out. We know of each other quite well, and now that I've got everything beautified and beautiferous up in here, I think there's some people that are long overdue. So if you like Tony Blackman, I guarantee you Tony Blackman's going to come to the show. It's long overdue. It's totally on me. I was waiting for the right moment, to have such a high-powered, guest. So I think we're there. I think we're good enough. I think we can do her justice now. So Tony Blackman would definitely be on the show. This is an organization. I interviewed my man Dialect a couple years ago. This is a cool event that goes on. Again, I'm putting the links in the comments section for all these things, but you can look at it online. This is from the Hip-Hop Education Center's Instagram page and Pockets Change. Pockets Change is an organization that uses hip-hop, among some other things, to help teach young people about financial literacy. It's a brilliant organization. I've had Dialect on it. My man Dialect, who's an artist, a theater, hip-hop, rapper, performer, teacher, all the multi-hyphenate. I've had him on the show. Pockets Change is his organization, in part, with some other folks. I've had Andrea Ferrero, I think was her name, has been a while, who was the founder of Pockets Change. And they spoke about the way that they use hip-hop as a tool to engage young people in learning about financial literacy. The Hip-Hop Fin Fest is an extension of that. They've done for a couple years. This is for middle and high school students. Anybody who got a middle or high school student, like within their, circumference, within their, I don't know, that you know what I'm saying. You can check out the Hip Hop Fin Fest, where they are asking for young people to get involved. There's a prize, $1,000 in cash, a pocket studio, a bunch of equipment and such, monthly mentorship sessions with hip hop legends and business change makers, coaching sessions, all this going on for young people to get involved. So it's a fun activity to try to, obviously get your young folks involved artistically, but also for this great cause of learning financial literacy. And even if they don't get involved in the Hip Hop Fin Fest, you can go to the Pocket Change organization and learn more about how can we use the music and culture that we love to do something that you wouldn't think that we know, but some people wouldn't think music and culture could put together. And that is the idea of teaching financial literacy. So I think that's it. Oh no, one more. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay, look. Again, artists, you're not getting this information anywhere else. You don't know about this. Young people, like you could pass this information out to young folk that you know. Artists that want to do something different. Where are you getting all this information in one place, if not here? This is Next Level. Next Level is an amazing organization. I've had their folks on this show, the older iteration of this show. Next Level sends a group of teaching artists to different places around the world as hip-hop cultural ambassadors. They go and they do like an artistic exchange program. They invite MCs, DJs, artists, graph writers, filmmakers, and they say MCs, DJs, what else, right? All the beatboxers, of course, dancers, all of the elements and extended elements. Artistically, you can apply to get paid to go somewhere in the world and do your hip hop artistry amongst other people in other countries and exchange information and, oh, how we do this, you do this, da-da-da. And very often it's in areas that are facing some kind of conflict. The underlying mission of Next Level is to teach not just, kind of hip hop cultural exchange, but also the idea of conflict resolution, of building, of uniting and coming together through the arts, which is a brilliant idea, a brilliant prospect. They do it wonderfully. You only got 2 days to submit. If you're an artist and want to be involved in this program, submit to Next Level. If not, follow them. They're on Instagram at Next Level USA, next_level_USA. And that's, again, great for artists who want to get into something and do a little bit something different. Again, we always talk about artists, and we know artists that do this kind of extra work, this extra level work, or we want to see more of that. So support Next Level, spread the word so that they can keep doing this work. If you're an artist, you'd be interested in doing this work too. So yeah, Ada, aka Miss Thursday, says that in Atlanta, the Nappy Roots are celebrating the 2-year anniversary of the spot. It's like Atlanta and Kentucky together at ATL Tucky Yes, it's a brewery, right? Didn't they start a brewery? Nappy Roots, ETL, Atlantucky. That's what it's called. Okay, yep. So Nappy Roots, obviously, we know them from their artistry, but they have a brewery in a spot. And I'll just put it up real quick on the screen. If I can. Oops. Maybe it should be here. Bear with me, y'all. We'll get there one day. One day we'll be perfect. All right. Let me try this again. But yeah, so in Atlanta, and I also got something in Atlanta coming up for me I can tell you about. So we got New York, we had blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here we go. All right, so the Nappy Roots celebrating the 2-year anniversary of their spot. So that's cool if you're in Atlanta. Also, I'll give you a personal one. I don't have the flyer or anything just yet. But on Tuesday, February 27th, I'll be part of a panel at the Atlanta Metropolitan College, put on by the good folks at the Hip-Hop Congress. And it's basically a panel discussion on the intersection of social justice and Atlanta hip-hop. Now, I'm a transplant. Y'all know I'm from New York. You know, I just came down here myself, but I have some thoughts. And I'm very honored that they wanted to bring me in. As some of y'all know, I do have a connection to social justice through hip-hop. The Newsbeat podcast that I produce and put together, an award-winning podcast that mixes high-level social justice journalism and very often original lyrical contributions from independent hip-hop artists. We like to say it's like Democracy Now! And Black Thought had a podcast baby. And it's a beautiful thing that does some great work. So that's happening in Atlanta. Thank you, Ms. Thursday, for letting us know about that. Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Randy Swigum. She is another hip-hop lady who changed the game, says Randy, talking about Tony Blackman. That is indeed true. What a segue. Thank you, Randy, for setting me up. As I said, we have a few minutes to go. I want to tell you about one more thing, but that is a hint, a nod to first things first, hip-hop ladies who changed the game. Nadirah Simmons joining us in just a couple minutes. Once again, this is your man, your mellow, Manny Faces. This is Hip-Hop Can Save America, the live stream version. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We're here every Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Shouts to the replay gang, whoever tunes in and turns up with us, who can't be here live. And if you turn on notifications, we very often come up with little pop-up shows and things like that. Talking tonight, boy. Woo-wee. All right, listen, one more thing I want to share with y'all. I said this is my birthday week, and being from New York and being very in touch with the hip-hop independent scene, I want to do a longer thing and maybe, like I say, help support the show so we get some people on board. We could do this stuff bigger and better all the time. But I couldn't let it go by without saying that every year in New York, I used to be at we used to go for a weekly event, so monthly and then weekly and then monthly, called End of the Week. This was a New York institution, be a cutting their teeth for MCs, a great showcase event where you can come in and freestyle battle, and at the end of the week, championships would happen. And this was a place where a lot of dope artists would come through, and a community was formed for many years. One of the anchors of that foundation was a man named Jason Williams, aka Vice Versus. What was really cool about rocking with them, and I covered them, and I would go to end of the week stuff all the time. And what was really cool about that was Baxter Wordsworth, another independent New York MC who became a co-host of the event, along with Vice and them. His birthday was the 30th of January. My birthday was the 31st of January, and Vice Versus was February 1st. So we'd all get together around this time of year. And just birthday it out. And I always loved those times, and I had great times with Vice. We lost Vice Versus a few years ago, and I just wanted to shout him out, pour one out for him, and just remember him, his good heart, his artistic integrity, and how much him and his organization tried to put on for their city and put on for the culture. And so one time for Vice Versus. Always this time of year, whenever I do these shows, I get a chance to do that. I want to do something longer. He deserves a bigger tribute, but I didn't want to go and not let it be said tonight. So one time for Vice Versus, one time for EO Dub, End of the Week. And you can follow them and his legacy. They built a Vice Versus Foundation in his name. They were giving out some scholarships to artists and such. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers and minds, and more importantly, go follow these organizations. Go check in on them. I did a whole post earlier this week on the thing that we could do to help our independent artists. our independent content creators, our new authors, as we're gonna talk to one in a minute, is to not wait for their information to trickle down to our social media feeds. If we know who these people are, it's kind of up to us. The algorithms, the way these things work, if you're not pouring money into your marketing and promotion, you might not see half of the stuff they post. But if you know them and you know that they make stuff that you align with, go to them. Go follow up with the people that you like, that do good stuff, and put a little effort into following their work. And you'll say, "Oh, damn, I didn't even see this come across my feed." You'll discover some of the new stuff they're posting and doing. So I encourage you to do that. Stick with the EOW End of the Week family. Still out there doing good stuff. And I just wanted to throw that out there before we moved on. So if you're just tuning in, once again, this is Hip Hop Could Save America, the live stream show. This does appear as a podcast as well. You don't get the whole rambling show of, news and stuff. You get the interviews. So if you prefer the audio version, you can get the interviews. All this is at hiphopcouldssaveamerica.com. And it is a great pleasure for me to do this and bring this to you every week. So as promised, let's get into it. Y'all tired of hearing my voice? Let's bring another voice into the mix. And as promised, once again, I'm looking for it. Don't bear with me. It's working. We'll get it to work. There we go. Nadirah Simmons, author of First Things First, Hip Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game. What up, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Let me back this camera up. I am so close.
We all up in here. I could all kind of things. Like it'd be like we don't want that.
That was perfect.
Thank you. But good to see you, my friend. I'm glad, my friend. We're friends now. I've met you,
yes.
just now. But I'm so glad you came down and spent some time with me. I know you're very busy. This book is about to come out tomorrow. So also a birthday. This book is an Aquarius. I love it.
Yes. Are you an Aquarius?
I am. My birthday is Wednesday, 31st.
I love that. Oh, yeah. Happy almost birthday.
Thank you. We're getting there. So listen, like I said, thank you for your time. I was looking forward to meeting you and to talking to you about this. Let's start at the end and then we'll backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just cut right to it. This book is about to come out. It's an Aquarius. It's about to be born officially. Tell me about First Things First, the log line, what you tell people about this book.
This is a book for anyone who wants to learn more about women in hip hop and be inspired to stretch the limits of what they can do within this space.
As women in hip hop did.
Yes.
Throughout the history of hip hop. Very dope.
Yeah.
First of all, why did you write this book? Like, what were you doing before this? We'll talk about the gumbo. I know all about it, but I want to see, like, where did you, get the inspiration to do this particular project? Some of us who have been writing books for a very long time are very jealous and don't like you. But I'm just saying hypothetically. But congratulations on completing the journey.
Thank you.
What inspired you to put this book together?
Well, I have the gumbo, as you mentioned, and I'm a really big fan of archiving and tracking history. I'm also a nerd. I am a hip hop head, clearly writing this book. And, I'm always thinking of all of the ways that hip hop has really touched and impacted practically everything, if not everything.
Right.
And when it comes to me starting the gumbo and wanting to highlight all these different women within hip hop in particular, the opportunity to write a book, when it came, it just made perfect sense, because for me, it was another medium through which I can kind of show people and through which they can learn. I'm a big fan of let's have some audio of something. Let's have a podcast. Let's have a doc. Let's have a TV. Let's have a book. Let's have any and everything that we can, so everyone has access to the information.
Yeah, that's super dope. Now tell us about, we mentioned it. What's the gumbo about? How long has that been around? And what's the vibe of that?
Yeah, so I founded the gumbo in 2018. I saved up all of my checks. I was working at the Late Show at the time. I saved up my checks for a year because I really wanted to create a space for women to write about hip hop. And particularly, I was seeing women who look like me, people I went to college with, like not getting the opportunities to write about hip hop, which I'm like, we're some of the creators. Like, it's not really making sense that we can't write about this thing that we had a hand in creating. So I knew I wanted to not only give women the opportunities to write about women in hip hop, but also particularly give them the opportunity to get paid. Because that was the other thing I was seeing is people were doing a lot of free journalism, a lot of free work, and I'm not into
Right.
that. Like, I'm not into the free.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's cool by any
Right.
means. So yeah, so this is what we got with, and I've just been very just honored to get to highlight so many different women, and particularly Black women, and give them, some of them, their first writing credit, some of them the first time they got paid to write about someone, and also the opportunity to write about the most mundane things. Like, people are writing about mask in hip hop and the different
Right.
women who are wearing masks, and Doom, and how
Mm.
there are all those connections. Somebody
Interesting. Yeah.
writing a piece on Mia X and her seeing it and being like, this is amazing. This made my day. So just a bunch of stuff like that has really been like a joy to see. And the gumbo, for me, the name, I'm not from the South, I'm from South Jersey, but
Okay.
knowing that gumbo is something where a whole bunch of good things come together to make something really, really good, that to me
Right.
is really what hip hop is. There's so many elements. So
Yeah, it's
that's how the
interesting.
name came to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm from New York area, of course, in New York, New
Yes.
Jersey, where we always talk about the melting pot, like, the coming together of everything. The gumbo, gumbo is like that, and hip hop being that, as some might say, a remix culture. It's all the parts being greater than the sum of the sum of the parts. The whole being greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the book. I enjoyed the book because, well, I read a lot of it, and what I enjoyed about it was it's informal, right? It's not an academic, research driven. It's very informal. It's very like from my heart, from my soul, how I feel about these women. What I also loved, because even what you're saying now, to have the gumbo, to have a platform that's woman focused, Black women specifically, hip hop, angled, that's niche, right? It's not, I'm not saying I'm going to write about everything and give everything, everything.
Right.
My show's like that. It's Hip Hop Can Save America. We talk about the intersections of hip hop and education or mental health, therapy, or just these areas that, but it's still kind of niche. It's not like we're going to talk about everything. What I liked about that is there's still so many stories that could be told, even in that niche. And what I really appreciate about what you wrote about is the number of, nothing wrong with writing about the artists and the icons, but the people like Angie Martinez, or the folks who were not the artists, not on stage, but no less important to the advancement of hip hop.
Yep.
Not just women in hip hop, but hip hop in general.
As a whole, yes.
Yeah. How was the focus on including some of April Walker or people who are definitely as hip hop, as part of the advancement of the culture and the movement as anyone else, as much as the artist? How much was that? Why was that focus so important?
As someone who obviously love the music so much, and this is not to say that it's just the music, but hip hop is more than just the music. And the way that I was raised, my dad, he owned a hip hop clothing store in South Jersey when I was growing up. Like, my uncle, he used to DJ. He knows a lot of like the Philly rappers from like the 90s and 80s. So knowing having all of those elements, and then like my uncle owning a barbershop, being in there and hearing them argue and dialogue. And then my mom doing my hair on Sundays and watching Queen Latifah on Living Single. Like, that was our like hair show. So knowing that all of those things not only exist, but are super important and have paved the way for a lot of what we see. Like, when I think about a Queen Latifah, and when I think about a Will Smith and their ability to really stretch the limits of what people thought hip hop can do, and not because, hey, if you do this thing, then you have to leave this behind, but letting people know I can do all the things and I can still operate within this space. And I think a lot of times when people say hip hop, they think about just the music. And it really irks me, because I'm like, yo, when you see a Pharrell,
we talk about this all the time here. So every time someone says it, I'm like, yes, yeah.
It kills me. It kills me, because you'll see Pharrell just did a Louis Vuitton line, and to know that the legacy and the means through which he's able to exist in that space and create fashions, however someone might feel about luxury fashion or not, that is a product of a Dapper Dan and of an April Walker. When you think about April, I talked to her for the book, and she said so many of the male rappers that were starting clothing lines, or people that were trying to get their clothing lines off the ground, they were calling her for help. Some that became even bigger than they would have imagined. So when I think about stuff like that, I'm just like, yo, there's no way. A Honey magazine, the foundation
Right.
laid by Honey magazine. That was inspiration for the gumbo. And I was
Mm.
reading, that was way beyond, I was like 4 when that first came out. And
Right.
those were still influential enough for me to a point where I felt like, okay, we gotta show people these connections, because if we don't, somebody can, during hip hop 51, 52, 53, or whatever, we can get to a point where someone else is being attributed as the person who started this. And that's why I wanted to do the first, not to say, oh, it's a ranking, oh, this is the important person, and
Right.
the second, third, and fourth aren't, because I said that in the book. The 10th person is just as important as the first. But I want
Right.
people to be able to trace a line back to somebody and say, oh, this is what they did, especially because we've lost so many hip hop pioneers. And so many of them are also still here. And I
Right,
need us
right.
to really acknowledge what they have done, because it's important.
Yeah. I mean, starting it with Cindy Campbell, of course, just right there sets the tone for that. Right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's and it's interesting that you did talk to some of the, folks that you actually interviewed or pulled from their direct, the memoirs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a part in your book where you say, I'm really happy you made it this far, and maybe you jumped around, right? And then you say,
Yeah.
if you jumped around, we want to know, like, what was the first one you started with and why?
Yes.
Right, which is
Why?
interesting. And that's interesting because different people are going to have different entry points, right? You're going to say,
Yeah.
oh, Missy Elliott was as she was like yours, like your entry, not your entry point to the culture, but sort of like
Yeah.
the icon of icons for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I started with Angie Martinez.
Yeah. So many people, a lot of people that have
Yeah.
read it already. Angie, Missy,
Right.
Kim, which Kim was my favorite. That's
Of
my
course.
other goat. My
Yeah.
fave. Also the hardest chapter to write, surprisingly. Was
How can
very
you
hard.
how can you say it all in a chapter, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to say anything else that hasn't been said, but that's why I did
Right.
that text message. It worked out.
Yeah. I like the aside. There's good stuff in the book. There's also, it's not just writing. You have little, I don't know, vignettes of information or just, playful stuff that's in there. That's fun. And that's exciting. Now let's think like holistically overall, I'm sure you've gotten in these conversations. We all get in these conversations about women in hip hop, whether it's their, lyrical prowess or their extreme sexuality. And there's a lot of,
Yes.
Problems with this, not problems. There's a lot of folks who have differing opinions on those things. Can you just speak to, again, holistically, overall, when people come at women in hip hop as being overly sexual, either they say that to me, there's often two sides to that as well. The industry's making them do that, and that's how, sex sells, and et cetera, et cetera. But then the other side that says, well, no, it's empowering, and women do this stuff because they feel like it empowers their sexuality, and men do it all the time, so why can't they, et cetera, et cetera. What's your take on that overall ongoing and endless debate?
Yes, definitely. Also, I want to shout out Ada for saying Lady B, because in my book, I say
sounds
that
right.
that was the voice I heard the most after my parents. As a South Jersey kid, Philadelphia
Right.
radio, Philadelphia suburbs. So that was the one. So shout out
That's
to
it.
her.
Right.
To that point, I think whenever people get into those conversations, they're like, rappers are doing this, rappers are doing that. I always bring up like Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, like a lot of the blues women who are very wildly explicit, and they're just out there on their tracks. So
And you had Millie Jackson in the book, like specifically for I get it. Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's why I really threw her in there, more stories like that in there, because I think people have this kind of warped sense, or they just don't know that this isn't the first time someone's been sexual, and it won't be the last time.
Right.
I definitely think when it comes to kind of that conflicting thing of, hey, are they being forced to do this? Or, hey, are they allowed to? It's really difficult to know. But the one thing that I do hope is that women are given the freedom to do what they want on their terms. And I think even in the past, like, couple of months, you're seeing the releases. It really, you see a Megan Thee Stallion who's independent. Yes, she has, her different management deals with, different labels, but getting to operate on her own terms and make the music that she wants. So I want the women to create the music that they want. And if people don't like it, if it's too sexual for them, then it's just not the music for you. And that's fine. But people say it all the time. The men get to do a lot of a lot of nutty things, and everybody
Right.
just lets
Yeah.
it rock. So
Yeah.
I'm never here for that. I'm like, all right, y'all, you got it.
Yeah, I get it. Do you think that it's so then again, overall, looking at the history of, you chronicled sort of the history and the
Yeah.
ongoing connection to women in hip hop, always been looked at as, you get this hip hop gets, I think, this is me talking, sort of a little bit of a negative bad rap for being like overly misogynistic. Now, it's misogynistic, no doubt. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that it's not, but society is misogynistic. So I think
Yeah.
it just relates to that. I don't think hip hop is any more misogynistic than, I mean, church. But anyway, I'm just saying. So I don't want to get in trouble. You know what I mean? But there's other institutions, there's other, there's very patriarchal, cultural cultures that would be looked at as misogynistic.
Yeah.
So overall, do you think that the new era of being able to be independent, being able to release things independently now through the internet, through Instagram and social media, we have direct connections to your fans. Is that better or worse for women in hip hop? You see that it's still hard for Cyrock and Rhapsody to get the radio play and everything, and Megan Thee Stallion and the Sexy Reds and the Glorillaz. They're the ones that are at the forefront, and they are the overly sexualized kind of imagery, even if it's them putting it out on their on their own accord.
Yeah.
But that doesn't say that those other women artists can't still become wildly successful in their own way.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the scenery, what does the scenery look like in 2024 as opposed to 10 years ago, for example, to you?
I definitely think the scenery now, and 10 years ago I was 19. So I'm comparing it to kind of, I don't want to say there was just one woman, but I think we know that at that time it really was, you kind of have this
Can only be
leader.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing now. The other thing that I think about a lot when we think about the landscape, everybody's sales are kind of in a weird space. No matter who you are, I think people can have a really big hit, and then a really low performing EP or a low performing album. And I think that's reflective of streaming and what people are doing. Are people buying full albums? Are people streaming part of a song? So I think when we think about who's getting consumed, I think that's a big thing that isn't talked about enough, is how much people just aren't purchasing music and consuming music in the same way. I do think that there is a space for everyone. And the one thing that I think we should do, and we had an interview on the site just go up recently with Kirsten Daniel. She's a music marketing manager based out of Atlanta. And one of the things she said that really resonated with me, I didn't do the interview. Shout out to Jessica. She did the interview. Is to support those people. And I know it's easier said than done, but when you find an artist that you like, share them with your network, share them with your friends, repost their stuff when they're doing those concerts, whether it's a concert for 100 or a concert for 1,000, making sure you're showing up and bringing people with you, because a lot of people are really eating off of, the smaller shows and their own merch that they're putting out. So I think that's the thing, is just making sure we're being supportive. And if you're seeing something that doesn't really resonate with you, all right, that's not for you, but making sure that you're sticking to what it is that you like, and maybe, setting the tone for, hey, I want to see more of something like this, so that you can actually get that. Because there are so many, even more women. And again, when I was 19, there were a lot, but there was still this idea of there can only really be one, and then everybody else can kind of operate here. And now you have so many women, which I think is amazing. But even in researching this book and thinking about it, I want people to be able to eat off of their art. Like, this is their job. I think sometimes people think like music is this fun little hobby. I don't think people really process like this is work for them the same way that everyone else goes to work. And I just want people to be able to eat. And I want us to figure out whether it's on the consumer, which I don't think it should be, but the labels or whoever the teams are, to make sure that the money is getting into the pockets of these people and making sure they have the best teams behind them, so that when they're done, or they decide they don't want to perform anymore, or if they decide they want to take a break, they're still able to survive and thrive.
Yeah, I get it. No, very well said. Back to the book. I know we're jumping back and forth a little bit.
No, you're good.
But when being a fan, being from, New York and knowing a lot of these folks on the come up, or hearing about them or reading about them, I guess, were there any, really, let me say, fun facts or unknown facts or things that really jumped out as I knew this artist, I knew this woman, I knew this executive, I knew this, writer, but I didn't know that they did this, or and you tell these stories all throughout the book, but
Yeah.
one or two that kind of really stuck out to you that really said to you, man, I'm glad I'm writing this book because this is dope info to get out that most people might not know about. Give me a couple of those.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things was finding out that one, just how everything went down with Honey Magazine, from the creation of it to people not believing in it to them getting it out there to then people buying it that they originally pitched it to them being pushed out. And I know this story has been told over and over, but to hear it directly from the women themselves was
Right.
very like, I'm glad I'm getting to talk to them and ask them these stories. And also hearing that the day that they got that first issue, that preview issue with Lauren on the cover, they were
Right.
at a Great Day in Hip Hop shoot, which to me was like,
Okay.
that's just such a like, that just feels like everything coming together. So that
Right.
was really cool to just to hear from them and just to hear their pride and, their joy. I think another thing is writing about Dee Barnes, which I know a lot about Dee Barnes. I got to do an interview with her last week about the book too. Amazing. Shout out to
Mm.
her. But just getting to delve more into who she was as a whole, and all that she's contributed, and to think about Pump It Up and all of the artists she interviewed, to think about her music career, to think about her being a part of a group that was nominated for a Grammy within this, bigger entity when they did like a compilation song. So I'm just thinking about all of these things and I'm just like, yo, like that is amazing. And I already knew she was important. I love Miss D,
Right.
but that really, reading that stuff really made me feel like, wow, like I'm glad to add these parts of her story to her story. And then
Right.
there's one more. I know you said two, three, but
No, give me amazing more. First, I was gonna say about Dee Barnes. What's great is that she gets whittled down to the Dre thing, right? And that's important, and it's important that story
Absolutely.
gets told, and that we
Absolutely.
hold folks, at least in our minds, accountable for whatever.
Absolutely.
But it also then it whittles down her legacy to that confrontation, and like
Yeah.
you say, there's so much more to it that
Yeah.
I'm glad you expound on. So please, as I
Yeah.
was saying, that's a great that's a great
Yes.
additive. So then the third one, you said a third one you had.
Yes. The third one was learning about Courtney Sloan. She is an interior designer, furniture designer. She went to Rutgers like me, like Jersey girl through and through.
Shouts to Rutgers. Shouts to RU.
Yes. And just finding out that she made like furniture for Queen Latifah and her mom when they got their first crib. And like Queen Latifah was like, I want wheels on the bottom of my stuff so I can wheel it to all different rooms. And knowing that she did like the Vibe office and she did Dame Dash's office. Like she was doing all of these offices for so many different people and really setting up their spaces. And I think that's the other thing that was so great about the book was, again, like, yes, I'm gonna highlight the music, but even when you look at the cover of the book, when you look at that book jacket, you might look inside of that TV and be like, wait, Heather B in this TV, like who, who
Right.
who is, or you might not even know it. I'm just like that. Those are the things I want people
There you
to,
go. Yeah.
yes. Those are the things I want people to really look at and say, wow, like I learned something new. But the Courtney Sloan thing, I was just like, this is not, I don't even think about furniture when I think about hip hop. But now I do. Now I'm
Of
like,
course.
who's the go-to guy for Hove when he wants his house, done? Like I'm
That's
so
interesting.
intrigued by that now. So yeah, that was a really cool thing to learn.
It's these intersections. We talk about Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys bringing all their artwork to the Brooklyn Museum, and so you don't think about art, like fine art, when you think of hip hop.
No.
But now we know that you can and should, because why not?
Yes.
Like you said, hip hop is in everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so women's contributions, it's funny because you hear both sides of it throughout the again, these conversations, these debates, these ongoing and endless debates, that women either weren't involved enough, and they weren't, or haven't been given the credit they deserve, and they weren't. So you're able to highlight a lot of the ways that that women actually made not just contributions to like their own artistry, but again to the culture as a whole, something to expand. So I use Angie as that kind of, and again Daniel Smith, you know what I mean? Like these that took it to these places that helped expand the reach of hip hop. How important and why were maybe women, really good at that?
I think the one thing that I've always been told, and I remember this line in Scandal: "You got to work twice as hard."
Okay.
And that working twice as hard manifests often in such great work and such life-changing work and such influential and impactful work. And I know so many women, even in reading this book, when I think about Missy, like doing a song and writing a verse for the Raven Simone video, and then like finding out after the fact that they replaced her with someone who was skinnier and fairer skin, like learning about those things and knowing that Missy was like, oh, I might be done with this industry. And then her, I mean, I would have been done. And her feeling like, dang, I'm going to come back and feeling inspired to go harder than she had already been. I just think that, you know, so many women, we just know in every space, even if we are the best has to be twice as good for us to do what we're doing. And all of these women in this book, they all are such hard workers and they are so impactful and so important. I think that's why their legacies really just hold up in the way that they do, because they all were aware of that. Yeah, you got to work for it hard.
Yeah, no, I get it. I respect it. I understand 100%. Who'd you have to leave out that you wanted to have in?
Oh my gosh, so many I love West Coast rap. I know South Jersey. I'm very big. I love Philly rap and I love West Coast rap. Like those are my two favorites. And I really wanted to do something on Yo-Yo. I really wanted to do something on Sugar T. I really wanted to do something on Mia X. There are so many women, which I said, yo, support this. We can get another one.
That's right.
But I wanted to make them make sense. And I feel like, as I say in the book, and I've said, you know, to so many people, these legacies are so important. And I didn't want to just write about someone for the sake of, hey, I added them in there.
Right. An encyclopedia of women in hip hop. Yeah.
Yes. And because the book has such a specific theme of first, and you see some are very figurative and some are like very factual. You can go on the Billboard site, you can find whatever. But the ones that I was coming up with for them, they just weren't strong enough. And for me, I didn't want to write about 10 women who were the first ladies of like, yeah, it falls in line with the theme of first, but how interesting is, like, it's not. I really wanted to hone in more on their impact. And I think that those were the three like that stick out in the top of my mind. And, you know, Mia is mentioned in the book. Like there are sections where people are mentioned that might not have full chapters, but for me, I know, I know that the next time around, those are three women who are like top of mind for me to really sit down, and whether I need to watch the Hurricane video 20 times to figure out what to do for Sugar T, like I will, but I want to give them the proper, thorough chapters that they deserved. And every time I wrote them, they just weren't, I was like, they're just not strong. I had a whole chapter on battle rap that I really and I used to watch Queen of the Ring every night when I was in college. I love Bab. Shout out to her. And it just it felt like, again, an encyclopedia, to the point where it was 20 pages of facts. And I was like, this isn't fun, yo. Like,
I got you. You got to go where the spirit moves you. I know how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. It is the volume 2, second thing second. It wouldn't be the title. That'd be a terrible title.
I was kind of thinking about that.
Maybe. Listen, if you're listening on the audio feed, by the way, you're missing all the fun. We got some people in the chat, in the comments section. Again, shouts to Miss Thursday, who was bigging up your Sugar T reference. 100%. So we're here. So if you're listening on the audio feed, this is again author Nadirah Simmons, who is brought out the great book, First Things First, with Hip Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game. We are, of course, on YouTube streaming live Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern, hiphopcasaveamerica.com/watch if you're listening and not watching. And we're too good looking. You can't be. Why are you missing out on this? Everyone on this show is good looking and fabulous. And why are you missing out on the video aspect of it? Get it together, people. Yes. But that being said, so let's a couple of things before I let you go, if you don't mind. So you've told me who we had to kind of leave out, the book, and I get it. It's, there's only so much you could write, there's only so much you could put in.
I wrote 20,000 more words than I was supposed to. So
that's all right. It's the author, they say you gotta, it's a terrible phrase, but you gotta kill your babies sometimes. You have to,
Oh my God.
They say that. It's a terrible thing. Like you want to put it all in, you want to leave everything in, but sometimes you gotta chop it down. That being said, you're still active in the journalism world. You've got the gumbo going.
Yeah.
What's the again, want to remind people again about that platform and what it's bringing to to the world, especially in a time of journalism upheaval. We already had a drought of good either hip hop related journalism. That'll get me in trouble, but it is what it is. Women related journalism or women written journalism. You're kind of black focused journalism. All these things are even being hit harder by the recent onslaught of journalism
It's
closures and
crazy.
such.
Yeah.
So of course something like the gumbo is, I guess, even more important than ever.
Yeah.
What are the plans for it? What is it trying to do, and why should people keep it in mind when they need when they want to go to a place where they can get that kind of info?
Yeah, the plans for the gumbo, I mean, first and foremost, I want it to remain an archive. So if there's a
Yeah,
woman you don't know about, I want someone to be able to say, "Oh, let me go to the gumbo and read and learn about this person." I want it
nice.
to remain a place where people can get paid, but we will never be doing anything for free. That is not the bag. If we don't have the money to pay, then guess what?
Yeah,
Take a little break. Like that's always my thing. Like
I got it.
I'm not in the business of doing unpaid, especially journalism is such hard work.
Yeah,
I also want to expand just because, I worked in late night, I worked in TV, and
yeah,
I love TV so much. Like that's like truly like hip hop and TV are like my first loves for real, and I want to
hmm
expand into different mediums. I would love to see a First Things First documentary produced
right.
by the Gumbo, and I think that there's so much more. There's just so much more to be done, and there are so many more stories to be told. In the Gumbo, every month we do different themes. So
Yeah,
one month the theme might be fashion, one month the theme might be a specific region, one month the theme might
mm,
be acceptance. So I try to
right.
tailor things so that we're not getting I don't need somebody to write about the latest song that dropped. You can just go listen
Right,
to
right,
it.
right.
Like,
Just
I
play,
don't,
yeah, I say that all the time. We don't even need reviews anymore. Just
yeah,
go listen to it and
I,
you think what you think about
I
it.
like reviews. I like reviews. I like when people have sat down. I like when when my journalists sit down and they've gone,
Sure. But
but
a
I don't
one take,
need
quick take.
I don't need the random, single on a Friday. Can you go write an article that so and so dropped a single on Friday? Like I
Okay.
just feel like those
Fair
things.
enough.
I don't need that. I want my hard hitting
Yeah.
reviews and critiques and analysis and history and all of that. So
I'll go for
that's what
that.
the gumbo is and will continue to be.
Yeah. That's dope. Very cool.
Oh,
What's
keep up.
been
The comments are so nice.
Yeah, I know.
Thank
They're great.
you.
Oh, yes. Once again, this is Chosen Hip Hop. Glad to hear more people having a discussion on women in hip hop. I think I'll read the rest of the comment. We're working with the So Deaf initiative with the Hip Hop Education Center and have a page on our
Nice.
site dedicated to the queens with wiki links and
Love
spreading that information. That's dope. Chosen, put that link in the comments. We don't mind sharing links. You can do that. Now I lost my thought, of course. Let me go look at this comment because it'll spark me. So more people having the discussion of women in hip hop.
Hmm.
How was, in your opinion,
Uh-oh, I know.
how no, this is not, how were the hip hop 50 celebrations and jubilations and salutations and all the things that happened? How was the focus on women in hip hop? Of course, we don't know everything that happened around the world in the country, but the big ones we know about. What were you saying? Were you,
Yeah.
yeah, what was the reaction?
I mean the Netflix doc on Ladies First, not
True.
just because I was in it. I thought that was a great doc. It was produced very, very well. And I think
Shouts to Sarita Gates was involved with that, right?
yes,
It's
we
a
love
homie.
Sarita. That's
a
the
homie.
homie. She has a shout
Yep.
out at the end of the book. That is my
Yep.
dog.
She's
Shout
the
out to
homie.
her.
I know
Sarita
her.
knows everyone. I'm gonna text
I
her
know.
after this.
I know her. I know her through Summer McCoy, who did a lot of hip hop archiving work. They were working in hip hop with Martha Diaz. But Sarita's the Gates Preserve, right? Yeah. We know about Sarita's work.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yep.
Yes. I think that there were so many great things, and even when I think about a platform like the Gumbo and how there are so many people that don't know that we exist, I can only imagine the amount of work that was done that I might have even missed. To
Mhm.
that point, I would have loved to see more. And I'm always a big fan of paying the pioneers and the OGs. Like that is my thing. Like I don't like seeing anyone do GoFundMe's for health related issues.
Yeah.
Like that stuff really it sends me to a different level of anger. And when I
get
think
it.
about, people, seeing I love seeing MCWD post all of her flyers. I'm just like,
Right.
this is a story. And she did so much hip hop 50 stuff. But that's why in the book, I'm like, I want a biopic on her that she produces, cut the check so she can do it because I just feel like there's so much more. And people knew. The one thing I will say is that for as much time as everyone had, knowing that Hip Hop 50 was coming, I think
Right.
that was the thing where I was like, dang, like I felt like there would still be so much more. And when it comes to women, I mean, there's a reason the Gumbo exists. We're operating within patriarchy. So, we got what we got, and what we got was amazing. But I definitely left feeling like Yeah, I wish that there was more. But I've
Yeah.
been saying this to everyone. That doesn't mean we can't do a hip hop 51, hip hop
Right.
52, hip hop 53. Like there's so much opportunity for us to celebrate these women and talk to them. They're all around. Like
Right.
they're
That's
all
right.
on Instagram. Like they are here. And I really want us to really highlight them. And that's the reason I put the Roxanne doc in the book. That was the first time a lot of people
That's a good
really
point.
heard about her.
Right.
And
Right.
however people might have felt, whether they liked the movie, I loved it. I wanted more after it. I know it
Right.
stopped right before her first album, but I want more things, and I want it to be within the realm of what these women want for themselves as well.
Yeah.
But I just want more stuff, and I feel
Yeah.
like there's always going to be room for more, especially with women, because women, they don't get as much as everybody
Right.
else.
Right. But as you said, like, because of the work twice as hard, but also as it's super inspiring. It's super
Yeah.
innovative. When you have to, just like hip hop, one of the
Yes.
greatest things about hip hop is that you had to, it was something out of nothing. You had to come in through the back door. They didn't want you coming through the front. It's
Yeah.
all that brilliance of bucking the system and doing all the things. Well, so like you say, women had to do that within the system that was built to go against the system. Like,
Yeah.
where do you get more innovation and brilliance than women, working the game as well as they did, which you've outlined so well in the book. Once again, Nadirah Simmons is First Things First, hip hop ladies who changed the game. And before you go, I got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Well, maybe 3, but we'll make them quick. I know it's getting late. When this was a historical look, and I think that what Hip Hop 50 did a lot, even with the documentaries that we talked about, that we saw, a lot of it was past. And I always like to make sure, and I'm sure you do too, because
Yeah.
we're in the same lane, I think, to make sure that people understand that all of this is not done. It's ongoing. There's still new things happening. It's
Yep.
not all history. It's progressive moving forward. When you look at women in hip hop, what are the things that you see today? And we touched upon this a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do you see today that lets you know that innovation in and through and with and attached to hip hop by women is still, if not as good as ever, maybe even better than ever?
Yeah, I mean, I say this to everyone all the time. I feel like the women have been the most exciting for me in hip hop I mean, they're always very exciting, but particularly in the past 2-3 years, I'm just like, they're just out of here. From the videos to the
Right.
fashion to the performances, you're getting choreo, even though Offset had a little choreo at the BET Awards, but you're just getting so much. And that also doesn't mean every woman has to go put on a one-piece unitard and do choreo. I want everyone to operate within their space.
Right.
I just love seeing people really get to, again, kind of stretch those limits. And when I'm seeing women today, if I think about a Missy like making car and spaceship noises on a track, I also think about so many other people who kind of get to like just stretch those limits. I love seeing Meg. I love seeing Cardi. Like I love seeing the newer generation of women just really just go ham.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, and branching out into different areas, and whether
Yeah.
we're doing movies or, whatever, like that kind of writing books, whatever.
Yeah.
Do all kind of stuff. Why not? Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I love it. And I'm just like, the foundation has been set by all
Yeah.
these people, but history is happening now. Like Megan Thee Stallion performing at the Oscars, like however we feel about Oscars and awards, like that's crazy.
Right. And you know what? There's a time when it shouldn't be firsts anymore, as we know. And as
Yes.
women have had to do forever, as Black women especially have had to do forever.
Yeah.
To say that like it's this year and we're the first to be a thing is great, but it'd
It's
be great
crazy.
when there's no more firsts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
I
will
got
be
you.
the last book in this series. No more first. I love that.
So listen, one more question. I don't want to get into it. I don't even want to get into it.
I already know what you're about to ask me.
What are your thoughts on when you see this kind of current, back and forth that's happening? That's, whatever,
With me.
what are you thinking right now about all this stuff?
I've said this to many people before, and I'll say it again. I hate social media so much sometimes because it involves stands and fans and outside voices and fake graphics and mock-ups and fake text conversations and
bots.
This person's team and it's so much like I remove all of that. I want, and I've said this to so many people before, the men get to beef. A lot of people don't like beef. I I remember listening to old Queen Latifah diss records to Foxy
right.
Brown, which people forget about. I'm
That's
like,
right.
that was a thing.
We
Women
love
should be allowed
beef.
to beef. Yeah, we're allowed to have feelings and emotions. If we don't like somebody, I think that we're well within our right. What I don't like is all of that outside noise, and sometimes just some of the digs. I feel like, okay, and I know people feel like in beef things shouldn't be off limits.
Right.
But
All's
for me,
fair in rap and war.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I feel like kind of what I was expecting. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be what I thought it was. But I love seeing the women stand up for themselves, but I don't like seeing kind of like the catty and let's involve everyone and let's
Mm.
make it a trend and let's try to have this person say this about this person. Like if you got a problem, just like, I mean, Meg came out, she had a problem and she
Right.
released a track and it was, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Right.
But this extra outside noise and this extra stuff, and then again, people are gonna like what they like in diss records. There might be something
Sure.
I think is offensive and I don't want to hear, but other people might disagree. But just keep it in the records. Like if you really got a real problem, like give me the record, go get back in the booth and like
Right.
hit us the next day, or if you want to wait till Monday or whatever time, like cool. But
Yeah.
it's been very interesting to watch because it's just
Yeah.
very I never imagined that I would see the internet play such a role in, and not even play such a role, be like a third character in beef. Like I
That's
feel like
interesting.
it's the two people who are beefing, and then there's fans and stands, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
we don't need this.
And it's funny, you go back to like the ether and, Super Ugly, the other big thing was
Yeah.
like, we all had our thoughts and our opinions, but we couldn't like participate or influence or be in
Yeah.
the mix because we were outsiders. We're just listening to the radio and waiting for the next thing to drop. But now there's, like you said, a lot of people able to exert their influence or their,
Yeah.
and that does muddy it up a little bit.
Yeah, it might, and it gets just real. Like, what are we like? Really? Like this?
Yeah.
And is this true? Like, you retweeted this tweet,
Good
and is
point.
that accurate? Like, it's just so much where I'm like, I want to hear records. Let the women, if they don't like
Right,
each
that's
other,
fair.
cool.
Right.
Like, you are allowed to not like somebody, but give me a good record.
Fair enough.
Give me a
Well,
good
that's all.
record.
That's it. You gotta give me a good diss record. That's all we
Yes,
want. Yeah,
that's what I
it.
want.
Keep it to
Yeah.
that. We're waiting for that, but all that other stuff is
I don't need that
different.
outside stuff.
Yeah, I got you. I hear you. All right. Well, listen. It goes back to the idea that back in the days there could only be one, top woman rapper at any given time, and now we could have 5, and that's fine.
Yep.
And if
And
2
it's
of them
fine.
want to go at each other, the other 3 can still eat and still make make stuff, and it doesn't have to. It's not so closed as it used to be. I guess at least we have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want some good bars. I love good bars. I'm like, give me
know.
some good, thought out, direct, planned, like give me some that's what I like. I like good bars. So
Right.
if everyone's gonna beef, just good bars. I don't need no tweets.
There you go. I hear that. All right. Twitter fingers, right? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's just get this barred out. I appreciate it. Nadirah, anything else that I haven't covered that you want to share about this book, about the gumbo, about your work, what's next? And then obviously where people can, reach out, find it, and purchase and support and do all the things. Tell me about it.
Well, what's next is a very long vacation because this is like almost 2 years worth of work. But you can buy the book wherever you like to get your books. I'm always a fan of supporting your local bookstore, your independent bookstore, because hey, let's keep the indie bookstores in business, please.
I like bookshop.org, which you can buy.
Bookshop.org. Yep, they have all the indies on there. And thank you for having me. If you want to learn more about the gumbo or myself, the gumbo is the gumbo on social media. So it's TheGumbo. And I'm Hi Nadirah on Twitter and Instagram. I will slowly be removing myself from Twitter. I'm near the end of my time on there. I'm like, it's not even, I know it's X, but my time is up.
Yeah, I understand completely. But good. That's where people can go. And again, buy the book. First things first, Hip Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game, Volume 1. But for now, this is the one that's out there. And like I said, I really appreciated your personal approach to it. Thank you. Like carrying us through your discovery, right? Your discovery, not only when you were young and first discovered an artist, but as you went through and kind of dug and researched and archiving these stories
Thank
and,
you.
and these names is really super important. So I appreciate you. And again, thank you for your time. And I hope we get to talk again soon.
Yes, I'm about to go text Rita right now and be like, "Hey, I just talked to Manny."
Very cool. All right, that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and again, people love it. Love your energy, Nadirah. She says this is Carla in the chat. Congrats
Oh,
on the
thank you,
book.
Carla.
And we
Oh,
had some
thank you so
folks.
much.
And shouts again to the replay gang who's watching this and didn't catch it live and didn't get to play along in the comments. Come join us live next Monday,
Yes.
9 p.m. Nadirah, thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, be safe.
Bye.
All right, there you go. Once again, Nadirah Simmons, author of, I have it right here, First Things First, Hip-Hop Ladies Who Changed the Game. Get it where you get books. What y'all think, folks? That was a good conversation. That was fun. Shouts again to Carla in the chat, Ada, Miss Thursday, Chosen Hip Hop in the mix. Who else is up in there? I saw Randy Swigum before. Everyone who's checked in, tuned in and turned up. Hip Hop Could Save America. It's your man, Manny Faces. We're here every Monday, live, 9 p.m. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can go to hiphopcouldsaveamerica.com/watch. I assume that's where you're watching me right now. Oh, y'all are so dope. There's nobody on Facebook. Everyone's watching on YouTube. I'm just going to go YouTube only now. That's it. Wait, you can hear me? What was that? That was weird. I think you still hear me, right? Anyway, so yeah, we're here. I'm still working it out, guys. You know, it's just me. It's just me doing this one-man band. So yeah, that's it. That was dope. That was pretty cool. If you ask me, I was looking forward to that conversation for a long time. Women in hip hop. It's a wild subject, and it's a source of debate and discussion. I got to tell you, I mean, throughout my experience with hip hop, you know, coming up when I did, you know, obviously, you know, it was always male heavy. But there were those times when you saw someone like, you know, Queen Latifah and you know, when Moni came out, MC Light, you know, some of the, I guess the early powerful, you know, the women who got to like that level. I know there was, you know, people, you know, before, and of course, shouts to everyone who came out kind of before. But those were the times when the record labels and the music and the radio was now fully engaged in hip hop. And you really got a whole different, I don't know, it was powerful. And it was the first time, I don't know if it was the first time. I mean, people obviously see, I'm you know me, but I came up around, you know, black families all the time. So I knew like powerful women, and you know, I saw like great examples of that. I had teachers, I had friends' moms and all that stuff. So you might have had people in your family, you know, who represented that power, you know, that sort of powerful woman thing. But when you go out into the world, you don't see powerful women, particularly powerful black women in positions like, you know, I don't know, college. We talk about running a business or running a college or, you know, being a bank president. Just at the time, we're talking about the 80s and the 90s when women, and again, especially black women, still hadn't, there was that glass ceiling and racism and all the stuff. But when you saw like a Queen Latifah get on the mic at a video and she would come on Video Music Box, we'd be like, woo, this is like, you don't like this, you don't want to mess with this woman. This woman is powerful and on top of her game. And MC Light and the sister from X Clan, you know, and like just like all these artists, and then the Trinas and the, you know, who would come out and just be like, I'm flaunting all that stuff. Woo, man, listen. So it was just it introduced a whole new aspect to young folk who were getting into hip hop to see that women could be as powerful as is loquacious the right word, as you know, just spitting fire and being on a level of dudes. And it didn't happen enough, as we know, but it sure happened. And if you were hip to it, you paid attention to it and you respected it and you knew. So anyway, thanks again to Nadirah Simmons for checking in with us. It was a good conversation. I thought we went about as long as I wanted to. I could have talked obviously longer and longer. So I don't have much more tonight, y'all. Like I said, I haven't prepared that much. I shared some stuff at the beginning. Again, if you missed the beginning, go play the replay. I don't want to keep running through the same information. But if you're an academic, if you're in touch with high school students or early or college students that like hip hop, we have a couple of great events and conferences coming up. If you're in New York, if you're in Boston, Fordham University Hip Hop Research and Activism Conference is in Fordham in March. The Can't Stop Hip Hop Conference is at Harvard in May. The FinFest is a financial literacy program. Young artists can submit their music and win prizes and money and all of the good things. Sylvia Robinson, of course, for having the foresight to legitimize the musical aspect of it. She's mentioned in the book. Once again, this is a fun book. Nadirah Simmons' First Things First is written from a very this is how I was feeling and this is what I was learning. And it's a very informal book. And I like that because it made it feel very personal. And of course, she has, Cindy Campbell, some of the first rap records ever made. I'm just going through the whole thing. Sophie Bramley, who brought Yo to MTV. So that was important. A whole section on fashion. What I loved about it the most, being a journalist myself, was a section on print and radio, including Danielle Smith, who was the first Black person or first woman to be editor-in-chief at Vibe. Has gone on to do many other things, of course. The Honey magazine story, which is amazing. Kim Osorio, the first woman editor-in-chief at The Source, and some of her, obviously, we celebrate what she did in that regard, but also some of the trials and tribulations that she had to face in the industry, suing the owners of The Source for sexual harassment and other kind of misconducts. And of course, Angie Martinez, who, if you're from New York City, and I was an artist, I was trying to make it, I was rapping, we were making beats, we had crews and all that. You just wanted to be on Angie's show. Like if you was on Angie Martinez's show, if you could sit across from Angie Martinez, plus the fact, whatever, crush, whatever. But you knew that was the voice of New York. That was Hot 97 at the time. And if you could be on Angie Martinez's show, then you made it. So it was actually something to strive for. The artists who were like, I want to, make all this money. I want to get this car. I want to get this house. I want to be with all these women. And I just wanted to be on Angie's show. I just want to be on Angie Martinez's show. So shouts to Angie Martinez. And shouts again to the people who contributed to hip hop that don't get the recognition because they weren't the artists. But it's the Sylvia Robinsons, as Chosen Hip Hop says, the Angie Martinez's of the Kim Osarios who helped bring hip hop to the masses. So, women in hip hop. I wanted to make sure that we didn't go too long before getting a woman on the show, and again the topic. And of course, there is some controversy going on in the hip hop sphere, but we won't really get into that. It is Hip Hop Can Save America, the live show. It is my birthday week. Birthday is Wednesday. You can do a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gift and support the show if you can. A few dollars a month greatly helps keep the lights on. Otherwise, it'll look like this. And nobody wants to see this. This is scary. This is not fun. So patreon.com/Manny Faces. If you feel so inclined and if you're able to support, that's great. If not, that's no problem. Don't worry about it. We are working on ways to finance this show and expand and get to other areas of expansion. So one thing you could do, and I do encourage you to do, first of all, like the channel. Make sure you're liked, subscribed, and share on YouTube. And subscribe to the newsletter where you get a lot of this information for free. All the stuff that I talk about, all the events and conferences. I'll be in Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, Ada, come out for this. The Intersections of Social Justice in Atlanta Hip Hop, Tuesday, February 27th at the Atlanta Metropolitan College. I'll be on a panel. I've got some other things brewing. So personally, if you think about coming to see me, I'm doing some professional development workshops for K-12 schools. So if that's something in your wheelhouse, please contact me. I'd love to share with you what we're working on. I have I have a workshop that's I'm conducting across the country. Got a few of them lined up already. I'd love to include your school district. Has to do with hip hop and STEM and engaging children and students, all that good stuff. So hit me up. We have that. And if you think you want to be on the show, first of all, half of y'all watching or listening or see me posting about it, I know who you are. I know we're overdue. You see, I'm rolling now every Monday. Two interview slots a night if I really want to pull it off. I'll get you on the show. If you're watching and following, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you share this. The more people we get, the more numbers, the more information we get out to the people, and we're doing all the good things. So that's it. I don't have a lot more to say tonight. We'll be back next Monday. I'll be a year older. Shouts to my Aquarians in the building, and we'll be back next Monday, 9 p.m. Do I have guests yet? No, but I'll tell you what. Maybe I should start telling you about guests I'm going to be having. We've got some cool stuff. Randy was in the comments before. We're going to talk to Randy Swigum in a couple of weeks. That is about a wonderful hip hop music education pedagogy conference is happening out in Wisconsin, I think. Bob Knutson, you still paying attention? I'm not going to be there. I know. Sorry, I got you hyped. It's remote. It's virtual. But tell them to bring me and I'll come out. But anyway, that's happening. So that we're gonna learn about that. I've got I've got a wonderful author, another author coming up soon. Toby Jenkins is the author of a book called The Hip-Hop Mindset, which is a brilliant look at how you can use sort of this is what people from outside hip-hop don't always get. This is really crazy to say, but people in hip-hop, you understand what I'm saying? Like people who are attached, they have a sort of hip-hop ethos or a mindset, see the world a little differently than people who don't. And some of it is a cultural thing. Like I said, a lot of, Black or Hispanic culture kind of Venn diagrams with hip hop culture. And a lot of that comes from that need, that necessity that Nadirah was talking about to work twice as hard, to get, to make it in a patriarchal racist society. And I get all that. But there's also something about hip hop. There's also something about the way that it opens up its doors to folks across all demographics. And when we enter that realm, we also start seeing things a little bit differently, and we can approach things different. We problem solve a little bit differently. We know how to, there's a saying, and that's been turned into a hip hop saying, but it comes from I think the Black community. But how to make $1 out of 15 cents, and that's that hustle mentality, that remix culture that hip hop is about. So we can come from any aspect, any demographic, any culture, and bring our experiences and perspectives into the situation, but also take from our friends and remix this situation. It's just different. It's just different. And I find it hard to explain that sometimes to people outside of the culture, but I want them to understand that hip hop mentality is so vibrant and so exciting and so interesting and so powerful and valuable. Well, Dr. Toby Jenkins wrote a book called The Hip-Hop Mindset, and she did it. And I'm like, oh, you wrote the book. You took everything out of what we're trying to say and you put it in the book. And it tells you how you can use that hip-hop mindset to advance your career and advance the way you, not just educators, but business folk and anything, which is what I like to preach on this show, that a little bit of hip-hop sprinkled into any industry can add diversity and inclusivity and belonging and bring in new voices and all the things that we say we want. After George Floyd, how many companies like, we have to really, for once and for all, like diversify our ranks and do better at reaching out to other communities and bringing them into the fold. And they ran all these DEI initiatives, and then now they just don't. Now they stopped. Maybe we don't. No one's paying attention anymore. Now, that's because, there's problems with racism and such in America, but it's also really counter to your, the ability to thrive as a business, to not open your doors and your eyes and your ears to different communities with different perspectives and diverse ideas, not just to take their ideas and steal them and say thank you and move on. No, to authentically bring them into the mix, to authentically connect with other audiences or cultures or groups or consumer bases that you might not have really had access to before. It just seems like you don't know how to run a business if you're not doing that. Why wouldn't you want to expand? Why wouldn't you want to reach out to different audiences and hip hop does that. We can reach all kinds of people in a beautiful way through hip hop. Bob Knutson, any new international hip hop news? There is a great conference happening. I know I tout the conferences a lot. And Knutson, because the other friends that we deal with, the European Hip Hop Studies Network is a group that is an organization that looks at hip hop from a more global perspective. As you know, some of you know, I work with the Global Hip Hop Education Conference, and that looks at things globally. And so that's interesting. But can I share this? In May, Knutson, this will be interesting. You're going to like this. In Cork, Ireland, because we have a friend in Ireland, don't we? There will be the European Hip Hop Studies Network conference called Dropping Science, Hip Hop Ciphering and Deciphering. There was a call for participation, which is over. But if you're in Europe And I think, I'm not 100% sure. I think what they did before was, I think some of this was live streamed. So to get an international perspective, you can check this out. Bob, I'm also going to have a fellow on my show soon. His name is Emil YX. He's from South Africa, but he does a lot of international focus hip hop work. And he's actually in Atlanta. Well, he commutes. No, he doesn't commute, but he's back and forth Atlanta and South Africa. But Emil YX is a wonderful soul that does a lot of work and has had a long history in South Africa's hip hop scene. So I plan to have him on the show very soon. We're working out scheduling. And yeah, so there will be a couple more informations on that. This is Hip Hop Can Save America. Oh, matter of fact, I'm going to probably have one of the folks that are involved in this conference here, the Drop of Science, on the show as well as it gets closer to the date in May. He also wrote a book, and I forget the title. His name is Griff Rawlinson. I hope I'm getting it right. It's off the top of my head. But anyway, so I will have some international connections. And the reason why I'm going to do that, even though this show is called Hip Hop Can Save America, is because I think that some of the stuff that we've exported to the world, it'll serve us well to re-import it back. So I plan on having some more international thoughts. Yeah, shouts to Bobby McD in Ireland. I think he watches this show. But he's a fan of Uneffing the Republic, which is another podcast that I produce, a progressive politics and economics podcast called Uneffing the Republic. And the effing is for, you know what effing is for. Unforking the Republic. But it's actually a really interesting show. If you're interested in progressive politics and economics, it may sound boring, but it's not, and you learn a lot. And if it's your thing, if that's your jam, progressive politics and economics, you're going to love it. If it's not your jam, but you're like, well, this is a weird year in politics in America, maybe I need to be a little bit more in tune with stuff. It's better than your mainstream news, I'll tell you that. And it'll give you some interesting perspective on how effed we are as a republic and how we got here and where we need to go. So look up Uneffing the Republic on your favorite podcast app. This show is also available as a podcast. Oh, thanks, Bob. Bob likes the skits. That was a fun one. I should win awards for those skits that we do on there. Podcast production. But we're talking inside baseball. Listen, y'all, I'm going to let y'all go. Once again, if you need to contact me, you can find me on Instagram, Manny Faces Official, or on Twitter /X at Manny Faces. Please reach out. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you'd like to see. There's a ton of people that I know that are long overdue to being on the show, but I don't know everybody. So please find me, forward me your thoughts. Who should be a guest on the show, and just take a moment. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share it to your friends. And let's do it. Prism, Chosen Zulu, absolutely 100%. I can't. I want to send everyone a link, and I just get busy. So I will send you a link, and we'll schedule you in. I want to know what you guys are doing, what you're doing. So please remind me. Hit me on email. Hit me on social. You know how to get me. And just be like, give me the link, and I'll give you the link. It's that simple. We're here every Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hip Hop Can Save America, also available as a podcast. You'll get the interviews ripped and thrown onto the feed as well. So let's make it happen. I got a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm just glad I'm able to do this regularly. This was part of me personally trying to see if I could maintain this, do it every week. Make sure I got everything in the works, easy to get folks on. It's a lot of work to do this. If you do, and if you can find it in your heart, $5 a month, patreon.com/Manny Faces does help. These services cost some money. No one pays me for this show. I get paid to do other things. But this one's just me, out of the kindness of my hip hop heart, making it happen. So we're looking for ways to expand and make it official, but I also don't like just rocking with anybody because, I don't like to not be able to say what I need to say. And the only one I want to be held accountable to is y'all. So thank you for the folks that are already supported. Shouts to, I'll just say their names one more time. Silent Night, my mellow Silent Night from the band called Fuse, a great MC and works with me on some projects. You definitely want to know him. If you're looking for that real, just intellectual, super dope, lyrical, just smart, brilliant rap artist, Silent Night's your guy, Night like chess piece. Shouts to Mark E, a.k.a. Mr. Pocket, Jesse G, Toast, Nicholas, Brianna, Steffi, Kath Morgan, Andrew Wang, who's usually in the comments heavy, but I understood he's not feeling well tonight. So shouts to him. Raphael Travis, of course, the healing power of hip hop. And our newest supporters, Patrick and Chris J. One time for Aquarians. One time for my birthday this Wednesday. One time for Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. I hope you get well soon. And one time for y'all for paying attention to me, spending some time with me on your Monday night. I appreciate you greatly. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. And that means a lot. So peace and love. I'll be back next Monday, God willing. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.